the record button.
This meeting is being recorded.
And welcome everyone. My name is Erica. I'm with the St. Louis Public Library. I'm the adult specialist in the Science and Technology room. And it is my pleasure to introduce to you tonight Megan Schultz from the National Kidney Foundation. She is here with her colleagues to present Your Kidneys and You. And before I turn the program over to Megan and her colleagues, I just want to remind everybody to please keep your microphone on mute. If you have a question, please feel free to type it in the chat. The chat feature is located to the bottom right of your screen. And to enjoy yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Megan. Megan, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Erica. Good evening, everyone. My name is Megan Schultz, and I am the program manager for the National Kidney Foundation serving Eastern Missouri, Metro East, and Arkansas. As a major voluntary nonprofit health organization, we are dedicated to preventing kidney disease, improving the health and well-being of individuals and families affected by kidney disease, and increasing the availability of kidneys for transplantation. Our goal is to reach those at risk before kidney disease occurs and impact those in earliest stages so that progression to later stage disease is no longer inevitable. Thank you so much to the St. Louis Public Library for their partnership in allowing us to share the Your Kidneys and You presentation this evening to increase your knowledge of kidney health, risk factors for kidney disease, and how to protect your kidneys. I also want to thank our community partners, the Archway, Missouri chapter of the Links Incorporated, the Central area of the Links Incorporated, and the Black Care Initiative for their support of today's presentation. Today's program wouldn't be made possible without our talented National Kidney Foundation volunteer presenter and advisory board member, Heather Wharton, RN, BSN, MPH. Heather is the program manager of abdominal transplant at Barnes Jewish Hospital. Heather donated one of her kidneys to her sister's husband in 2002 and would do it again if she had a spare. Through her lifelong career in the transplant field, she has seen firsthand the transformative impact of transplant in people's lives. Heather is passionate about transplant and educating patients about the process. We are so appreciative of her kind willingness to further our programmatic efforts and raising awareness about kidney health. We also have Rachel Claudin, Patient Network Engagement Director with the National Kidney Foundation, who will be concluding today's program with more information on the NKF Patient Network, the first nationwide kidney disease patient registry. With a background in nonprofits and healthcare, she has a variety of experiences maintaining the patient voice in healthcare settings. She is dedicated to promoting the patient voice within kidney research and treatments. As the NKF Patient Network Director, her goal is to recruit, retain, and engage patients within the NKF Patient Network. Thank you for your precious time, Rachel, and thank you to my fellow NKF team members, Executive Director Kathleen Davis, Senior Development Manager Courtney Ilberry, and Development Coordinator Maggie Zisk for their support of this great program. Following these presentations, we will conclude today's program with a Q&A portion to answer any of your important questions that come up throughout the course of the presentation or outreach pertaining to the National Kidney Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and I will now turn it over to you, Heather.
Thank you, Megan. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us to learn more about your kidneys and how you can improve your kidney health. My name is Heather, and thanks for the great introduction, Megan. I'm here representing the National Kidney Foundation, and today we're just going to spend some time talking about your kidneys. I've worked in the field of transplant for my whole career, and as Megan mentioned, I have family members with kidney disease and was able to donate one of my kidneys to my sister's husband 20 years ago. So I love sharing information about kidneys and then and helping everyone to learn more. This is, just another thank you to our community partners for supporting this presentation this evening. So the National Kidney Foundation is a voluntary nonprofit health organization, as Megan said, and it relies on volunteers to help fulfill its mission. So just as a curiosity or self-reflection, many of you may have heard of the National Kidney Foundation before. But for those of you who haven't, it's one organization, but it has field offices in most states. And so each of those offices provide several programs and services to help patients, families, professionals, and people at risk for kidney disease. And so we'll talk more throughout the presentation about NKF resources that are available to anyone who's interested. So I like to have everyone reflect just on your baseline knowledge in terms of kidneys and kidney disease. So think about what you know about kidney disease. What do you know what kidneys do? Do you know anybody who has kidney disease? Maybe you know someone who's on dialysis or someone who has received a kidney transplant, or maybe even someone who has donated a kidney. Y'all know me now, so y'all know someone, right, who's been a donor. So hopefully by the end of today, though, the goal is that you'll be able to answer yes, that you do know what kidneys do. And you might even realize as a result of the presentation that you know someone who has kidney disease or is at risk, even if they don't know it themselves. So I want to start by discussing a few facts about kidney disease. It's amazing that 1 in 3 adults is at risk for developing chronic kidney disease. And that's roughly 33% of adults in this country. Are you one of them? We'll talk about risk factors so you might be able to answer that question a little bit better. 1 in 7 American adults has kidney disease, but most don't know it. If we look at how many people are joining us today, just based on that statistic alone, we can see that, 2 people who are with us tonight are at risk of kidney disease. How many might already have kidney disease who are with us? And think about your family, your neighborhood, your faith community. Kidney disease is already likely impacting people that you know in your life and you don't realize it. And that's why that's the purpose of this conversation, is just to talk about it and raise awareness so that we can prevent progression of kidney disease. Kidney disease is the 9th leading cause of death in the United States, which is a serious problem. It's more fatal than breast cancer or prostate cancer, which are diseases that are very well known and much more commonly spoken about than kidney disease. But the good news is that early detection is really the key and can stop or slow progression of kidney damage. So some simple things like diet change, physical activity, medications to control chronic disease can really make a huge impact on kidney health. And unlike cancer or other diseases that we don't always know how to treat, with kidney disease, we know many of the solutions, but we need greater awareness because of the statistic that most people don't even realize that they have it. And that's why I'm here today, to raise awareness. COVID-19 is on everybody's mind lately for good reason. But what you might not know is that while it's fairly well known that COVID-19 is damaging to the lungs and respiratory system, it really also impacts your kidneys. People hospitalized with COVID-19 have an increased risk of acute kidney injury, which can increase your risk for developing chronic kidney disease later in life. And in addition, people with kidney disease, especially those that are on dialysis or those who have received a transplant, are at higher risk for severe COVID-19 illness. We know that vaccines are proven to be very effective in preventing and reducing the severity of disease. And they've been demonstrated to be safe for everybody, including those with kidney disease. But we also know that some people, and this is especially true for those in the kidney community, may not receive the same level of protection, even though they're vaccinated. So those things that we've all been practicing, social distancing and masking, are really very important and remain so for our kidney patients, especially even though they've been vaccinated. And so if you see someone that's still practicing those safe practices, they may realize that they're at risk. But some of the things you're going to learn, hopefully today, is what kidneys do and why they're important to your health. What is chronic kidney disease? How do you get tested? What happens when you have it? What treatments are available? Who's at risk for developing kidney disease and what can be done to reduce that risk? And then why is kidney disease an under-recognized public health problem and what you can do to help address it and why you should even care in the first place if you don't have it. So most people have two kidneys and each kidney is the size of a fist. They weigh less than half of a pound, it's about 5 ounces, and they're located near the middle of your back, just below the rib cage. One healthy kidney can do the work of two. So that's great news for those who are waiting for a kidney transplant. Most people know a lot about their heart, their lungs, and their brain, and these organs are very important, not to minimize that, but the kidneys play a huge role in keeping those organs working correctly. The kidneys really help all of the body systems stay in balance. Kidneys remove waste from the body. They clean and filter your blood and turn those wastes into urine, which is then eliminated. The kidneys also, though, balance minerals and acidity of the blood to make sure that your organs are functioning properly. You probably also already know that your body needs specific amounts of minerals like potassium and phosphorus and calcium to keep your heart and muscles functioning. But the kidneys also balance body fluids. They remove excess fluid when your body has too much, and then they also hold on to fluid when you aren't getting enough. Kidneys keep bones healthy by activating vitamin D. They produce a hormone that helps keep your blood pressure in control. And they also produce a hormone that tells your bones to make red blood cells so that they can carry oxygen throughout your body. So your kidneys are doing a lot right now for your body, probably more than you ever realized. Now, this is not a biology class, and I am not a biology teacher by any stretch of the imagination, but it's really useful to understand how kidneys work. So a healthy kidney filters toxins and waste from the bloodstream. That blood flows through the kidney. If you think about the function of your kidneys and compare that to a coffee filter, when you make coffee, the filter keeps the coffee grains inside, but it allows the water to pass through. And your kidneys do something very similar. They keep the things that you need inside of your body, but then filter out the things that you don't need. The coffee in your coffee pot is like the clean blood that's sent back through the rest of your body. And the grounds are like the waste products that are sent to your bladder in the form of urine. So if you look at the diagram on your screen, first the blood enters the kidney through kidneys through an artery from your heart. And so then once inside of the kidney, these tiny little glomeruli, which there's an enlarged picture of there, then filters the blood through these tiny things called nephrons. The nephrons filter out waste products and extra fluid from the blood. The waste then becomes urine, which flows down through the ureters and into your bladder, and then you eliminate the waste when you go to the restroom. So then the newly clean blood that's not been processed as waste then returns back through the rest of your body so that it gets the clean blood. So that is just my very briefest of biology lessons about kidney function. Now that you know what a healthy kidney is supposed to do, let's talk about kidney disease for a minute. So first, it's good to define what chronic kidney disease is. Chronic kidney disease has a lot of other names that you may have heard, like CKD or kidney disease, or sometimes renal disease. But it's a term for any condition that damages your kidneys and decreases its ability to filter blood the way they normally should. Chronic means that the condition doesn't go away. So it's there as a permanent condition, but there are treatments, but no cure for kidney disease. So if we think back to the coffee filter analogy, if you imagine that the coffee filter gets holes in it Now you're getting coffee grounds in your coffee pot. And this is similar to what happens to our kidneys when they're damaged and have kidney disease. So over time, the kidneys become less able to filter out the waste from our bloodstream, which can cause that waste to then build up in your bloodstream. But because the kidneys do more than filter out the waste, it causes more problems than just the waste products that are beginning to build up in your blood. High blood pressure and other heart problems can develop. And actually, more people with kidney disease die from heart disease than from kidney failure. People with kidney disease can develop bone disease or weakened bones because the kidneys aren't able to activate that vitamin D like they normally would. People develop anemia because which is a low red blood cell count, because the kidneys aren't producing enough of the hormones that tell their body to make the red blood cells. These problems can happen slowly over time, but your kidneys have a lot of extra capacity. So even if you have a small amount of damage, you might not know it. You might not show any outward signs. And that's one of the main reasons that people can donate a kidney and still live a happy, healthy life, is because you don't need both of your kidneys if they're both functioning very well. But it also means that there's a good amount of damage that can be done to your kidneys without any outward signs. But even though there's no outward signs, that doesn't mean that problems aren't going on inside of your body. And eventually, and especially if action isn't taken, kidney disease can lead to kidney failure. And at that point, another treatment is needed to keep you alive. So 33% of American adults are at risk for kidney disease. That's just a huge number to think about, but most of them don't know it. And it only takes a minute to ask yourself some questions to determine if you're in the 33%. So think about these questions. Do you have diabetes or pre-diabetes? Diabetes is the leading cause of kidney failure. If you have diabetes or pre-diabetes, you are at risk for developing kidney disease. Do you have heart disease or heart failure? Your kidneys and your heart are closely related. So if you have heart disease, it can damage your kidneys. And if you have kidney disease, damage can be done to your heart and your blood vessels. Do you have high blood pressure, or do you take medicine to control your blood pressure? And uncontrolled or poorly controlled blood pressure is the second leading cause of kidney failure in this country. High blood pressure can cause damage to the blood vessels and those small filters in the kidney, making it more difficult for it to remove waste. Do you have a family member who's been diagnosed with kidney failure, received a kidney transplant, or required dialysis? Many diseases that cause kidney failure are passed down through genes. So knowing that you have a family member, you should get tested as well. Are you 60 years old or older? Age is another risk factor for kidney disease, but as we get older, our kidneys can become damaged. But there are lots of people who are in their 60s, 70s, even older, that have very healthy kidneys. So it's not to say that if you're over a certain age, you'll have kidney failure, but those over 60 should just talk to their doctor about their risk factors and their risk for kidney disease. So we've said that diabetes and blood pressure are sometimes referred to as hypertension, cause 3 out of 4 cases of kidney failure in the US. So diabetes, being the leading cause of kidney disease, is responsible for nearly half of all cases of kidney failure. Diabetes occurs when your body doesn't make enough insulin or can't use the insulin properly. And insulin is just a hormone that regulates the amount of sugar in your blood and helps your cells use that sugar for energy. Excess sugar in your blood because of inappropriate use or inability to use insulin that's caused by diabetes injures the small blood vessels again in the body. So there's kind of a trend here, right? Small vessels in the kidney, lots of small damage to small vessels in your body that can impact your health. So when this happens, your kidneys can't clean your blood properly. High blood pressure is the second leading cause. Blood pressure is a measure of the force of the blood pushing against the walls of your blood vessels as your heart is pumping blood around your body. Most people with high blood pressure don't have any symptoms. And for this reason, it's often called a silent killer, because people have high blood pressure and they have no idea that they have it. And the only way to know if you have high blood pressure is to have it measured. And there are things to do. There are things that you can do if you have high blood pressure to manage the blood pressure to prevent kidney damage. Controlling diabetes and high blood pressure will protect your kidneys. There's no doubt about it. Things like eating healthy, regular exercise, limiting salt in your diet, medications also are great at helping to control blood pressure. And it's really the best way to reduce the chance that it's going to lead to kidney disease or other health problems like a heart attack or stroke. So what can you do? If you have risk factors, especially diabetes or high blood pressure, you need to get tested for kidney disease. According to the CDC, there are 15% of US adults, that's 37 million people, are estimated to have chronic kidney disease. But 9 in 10 adults with this don't even know that they have it. About a third of people on dialysis didn't even know they had kidney disease until they were told their kidneys had failed, which is really what we're trying to prevent through early detection and education. This is devastating because we know ways that we can slow kidney disease. So knowledge is power in every circumstance, and it applies here as well. You might be wondering, is the test expensive or is it hard to get? No. There's 2 simple tests for kidney disease. One is a urine test and one is a blood test. The urine test is called ACR, or albumin to creatinine ratio. And it's a test that checks for excess protein in the urine. So that's quick and painless. You just have to, pee in a cup and let the lab analyze it. Estimated glomerular filtration rate, sorry, tripping over my words, called GFR for short, which is what we'll call it from now on, is a blood test that uses the amount of creatinine, which is a waste product that's in your blood, to measure your level of kidney function. Your doctor can calculate this GFR using the results of this common blood test called a creatinine test, plus other things like your age, your body size, and your gender. And not only is the test used to diagnose whether you have kidney disease, but it's also used to determine your stage of kidney disease. Kidney disease, the good news is that it doesn't happen overnight. It happens slowly over many years and in stages. There are 5 stages of kidney disease, and your stage is determined by that GFR. So the name of this test, as we said, is shortened to GFR, or you might see it as eGFR, which the E stands for estimated. And it's a measure of how well your kidneys are filtering and removing that creatinine waste product from your blood. And it roughly correlates to the percentage of kidney function that you have. So as shown in this chart on the screen, stage 1 is kidney damage with normal kidney function, and the GFR is 90 or higher. But you can see that as the GFR number matches the percentage of kidney function, but when we move into later stages, the GFR number goes down and the kidney function gets worse. So ideally, what we want is for people to learn that they have kidney disease in one of the first 3 stages, because that's really where you can impact the progression of the disease. But unfortunately, many people don't learn they have kidney disease until they're at stage 4 or even stage 5, when it's too late. So unfortunately, kidney disease can't always be slowed down, and some people will eventually progress to kidney failure. And kidney failure just means that your kidneys are too damaged to function properly. And at this point, kidney replacement therapy, which includes either dialysis or a transplant, is needed to survive. There are currently 2 treatment options for kidney failure: dialysis or transplant. So let's think about some more questions. How many of you know someone who is on dialysis or knew that dialysis was a treatment for kidney failure? People often associate dialysis with diabetes or high blood pressure. This makes sense because we know that the main causes of kidney disease are those two chronic illnesses. But dialysis is a type of treatment that replaces some of the function of your healthy kidney, of a healthy kidney. Dialysis cleans your blood and removes the excess waste products that build up when kidneys don't work. There are two types of dialysis. The first one is hemodialysis, which uses a machine outside of the body to clean the blood. So your blood it flows through a circuit out of your body into a machine and then circuits back into your body cleaned. It can be done at a medical clinic or at home. And each session is several hours, and this has to be done several times a week in order to keep the waste products low in your blood. Peritoneal dialysis is another type of dialysis, and it uses a special fluid that's put into the abdomen through a catheter in your stomach. The membrane or lining of your abdomen acts as a filter to remove the waste products. This can be done at home and doesn't always require a machine. Kidney transplant is a surgical procedure that puts a healthy kidney inside your body. This kidney can come either from a living person that has two very healthy kidneys or a deceased person that was able to donate their organs. Kidney transplant is not a cure for kidney disease. Recipients have to take medicine for the rest of their life to prevent rejection of the kidney. And transplant usually results in better medical outcomes and better quality of life when compared with dialysis because the person has a working kidney inside of them and doesn't need regular medical treatments to clean their blood. COVID-19 is on everybody's mind. Most people know about its impact on the lungs and the respiratory system, but the impact on kidneys is less well known. People with kidney disease and other chronic illnesses are at higher risk for more severe illness from COVID-19. And so far, the data shows us that this risk is the highest among dialysis patients and transplant recipients. COVID-19 can also impact healthy kidneys. So a comprehensive report showed that people who are hospitalized with COVID are at a significant risk for acute kidney injury, and sometimes referred to as AKI. AKI can lead to serious illness, dialysis, or even death. But a study found that patients who were hospitalized with COVID were twice as likely to develop AKI as those who were hospitalized for other reasons besides COVID. And studies estimate that around 30% of patients hospitalized with COVID-19 and 50% or more of those in the ICU develop an AKI when they're hospitalized. With proper treatment, AKI is treated and is reversible. But recovered COVID-19 patients who had AKI should be regularly seen by a kidney doctor because their risk of developing chronic kidney disease as a result of their AKI is higher. Patients who didn't develop an AKI but had blood or protein in their urine also need to be monitored once they are discharged from the hospital, because that is another risk factor. The best way to protect yourself is to avoid getting exposed to this virus through vaccination, wearing a mask in crowded indoor spaces, and following the recommendations of your healthcare team always. Kidney transplant is often the best option for treating kidney failure. And many people say they would prefer a kidney transplant over going on dialysis. But the unfortunate reality is that the waiting list is very long and there's not enough organs for all of the people who are waiting. There's nearly 100,000 people in the US waiting for a transplant. And in 2019, almost 4,000 of them died while waiting because there weren't enough kidneys. Approximately 23,000 people received a transplant in that same year in 2019, but more than 40,000 people were added to the waiting list that same year. So you can see that the list just gets longer and longer every year. And the NKF is working really hard to address the challenges by educating people about being a living donor and working on policy changes that reduce the barriers to people becoming living donors. Unfortunately, kidney disease, like many other chronic illnesses, doesn't impact all communities at the same rate. There are many social, environmental, and behavioral factors, such as limited access to good education, available employment opportunities, or the availability of healthy food choices that increase the risk for developing kidney disease. People who identify as African American Indian, Alaska Native, Asian American, Black or African American, Hispanic or Latino, or Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander are disproportionately affected by the social determinants that contribute to kidney disease due to structural and systemic racism. As a result, Blacks or African American people are more than 3 times likely than whites to have kidney failure. Hispanics and Latinos are 1.3 times more likely than non-Hispanics to have kidney failure. American Indians, Alaska Natives, Asian Americans, and Pacific Islanders are also disproportionately impacted by kidney disease. There are society and community level changes that are needed to improve these inequities, which we won't discuss today, but later in the presentation, we'll talk more about individual opportunities and community programs that can help people to make healthy lifestyle changes and protect their kidneys. Well, you might be thinking, thankfully, I don't have risk factors for kidney disease, so I don't really need to worry about this. While that is true that 2/3 of Americans don't have risk factors, kidney disease really impacts us all. First, chances are you know somebody who's affected. You may have realized today that you have a personal connection to kidney disease. And even if you don't know it, since 33% at risk, chances are that you do know somebody who could have kidney disease. But if you're one of the lucky few who's not at risk and doesn't know anyone else at risk, you are still impacted by kidney disease. This is because healthcare spending for kidney disease is very high. Medicare spends over $30 billion, B with a B, billion dollars every year on end-stage kidney disease patients. Dialysis is really expensive, and there are additional costs to treat complications of dialysis. And even in the earlier stages of kidney disease, Medicare spending for kidney disease in patients with kidney disease, not on dialysis, was over $80 billion, which is about 12.5% of the entire Medicare budget. Healthcare costs increase as people progress into later stages of kidney disease. So this means there's a financial benefit to early detection and identification and treatments to slow the progression of kidney disease. As it progresses, more complications occur, leading to more treatments and higher medical costs. So it's easy to see that we all have an interest in raising awareness about CKD, even if we ourselves are not at risk. Hopefully by now, you're thinking, I need to keep my kidneys healthy. Whether you have 1 risk factor or 5, or maybe you have none and you just want to keep it that way. There are a few relatively simple things that you can do to get tested and to reduce your risk and slow down the progression if you have kidney disease. Are you in the 33%? If you have any risk factors at all for kidney disease, you should get tested by your doctor. All it takes is an appointment to see your primary care physician and 2 simple tests. If you aren't sure how to ask your doctor for a test, visit minuteforyourkidneys.org to take our quiz, learn what questions to ask your doctor, and more. Remember that early detection is really key to slowing the progression. Diabetes and high blood pressure may be the top 2 causes of kidney failure, but they don't have to cause kidney disease. So both can be controlled through medication, diet, and physical activity. So good management of chronic illness helps your kidneys to stay healthy, and monitoring your numbers, taking medications on time, and eating right help prevent further damage. You've probably guessed that eating healthy is a step to preventing chronic illness. Health promoting diet rich in fruits and vegetables, low in sodium is a good option. The DASH diet and the Mediterranean diet are 2 eating regimens that we would recommend. Limiting salt by avoiding packaged and processed foods. Most people think, oh, I don't add salt to my food, but really foods that you aren't preparing fresh from the garden have added salt potentially. And so it's really important just to read labels is probably the best thing that you can do to understand really how much salt you're taking in. Drinking plenty of water so that you can protect your kidneys. Replacing, we recommend that you have water as your primary beverage. So replace, sweetened drinks like soda with water when you can. And then get moving. Physical activity has so many health benefits, not just for your kidneys. It doesn't have to be weightlifting or running a marathon either. A brisk walk is great exercise, and everyday activities like yard work or housework, like most of us are already doing, have benefits too. Anytime that you can get up and move, that's gonna be beneficial. Quitting smoking. It might be a simple step, but it's not easy to quit smoking, but it can have huge benefits for your health. So this includes for your kidney health. So there are lots of programs that can assist you in smoking cessation. Use of pain medications like non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. That's a lot of words, but you might know them more commonly as aspirin, ibuprofen, naproxen, or Aleve. When they're taken in large amounts over long periods of time, they can cause kidney damage. So just be aware of that. And if it applies to you, then ask your doctor about it. Tylenol or acetaminophen is usually a safe alternative for pain medicine, over-the-counter pain medicine for kidney patients. And these healthy habits not only protect your kidneys and reduce your risk for kidney disease, but may help you reduce your risk for other chronic conditions. So the dietary guidelines for Americans is a great resource, and following the healthy eating recommendations can help protect your kidneys and keep the rest of your body healthy. If you have diabetes, your healthcare team may have given you specific diet recommendations, and so you should follow those. But there's a lot of great suggestions here. Filling half your plate with fruits and vegetables, choosing whole grains over white grains, choosing lower fat dairy options, varying your types of protein. There are lots of great plant-based proteins like beans or tofu. Keeping sodium or salt to less than 2,300 milligrams a day. That's about a teaspoon. And even if you don't use a teaspoon of salt on your food, I guarantee that you are getting salt that you're not aware of. And so just be aware that processed foods, packaged foods have a lot of salt that we might not be aware of. Limiting saturated fats, and then also limiting added sugars are all great ways to improve your diet. Again, the Mediterranean diet or the DASH diet are both great diet programs or eating patterns, and they help to control blood pressure, and which in turn protects the kidneys. If all this sounds overwhelming, because that's a lot of stuff, start with just a small change. Maybe you just do one thing a week, add a fruit or vegetable to your meals a few times a week. Switch out one soda for a water. Cook a homemade meal instead of getting fast food. All of these things, small things, add up to have a big impact on your overall health. And then, of course, a registered dietitian or nutritionist can always give you specific information about your circumstances and tell you where you should start to make healthy diet changes. And these visits might be covered by your insurance, especially if you have diabetes. Physical activity, you should aim for 150 minutes of physical activity each week, which is about 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. Physical activity doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as a brisk walk. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes at a time. Even 10 minutes at a time is beneficial. So if you walk 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at lunch, and 10 minutes in the evening, you've already done your 30 minutes for the day. Add a friend, and it doesn't even seem like you're working. It balances your mood, strengthens your bones and muscles, all sorts of benefits of walking. There are other ways that you can add movement to your day, like sitting less often, move more, move during TV commercials. So if you're watching TV, when the commercial comes on, that's a good cue to just get up and move while the commercials are on. Or activities that you enjoy, like gardening, can also add to physical activity because you're moving. park your car as far away as you can from the front door, and get more steps in. Take the stairs instead of the elevator, and walk to socialize, right? Instead of going for a meal or coffee, consider just meeting with a friend and taking a long walk. So that's just a great way to add movement, additional movement to your day. Eating healthy, losing weight, gosh, we've all heard that before, right? Getting active, managing chronic conditions, they're the best things that you can do to reduce your risk for chronic kidney disease. We've noted that these are simple steps, but we know that even simple steps are not always easy, but there's some excellent resources that are available to help you. So we recommend that you utilize programs based on research that have helped others and might be able to help you. There are some of those resources listed here. The National Diabetes Prevention Program, or National DPP, is recognized by the CDC in its research-based lifestyle change program. The Chronic Disease Self-Management Program is another research-based program designed to help people with chronic conditions. And then the Diabetes Self-Management Education and Support is another resource. There are tons of smoking cessation resources. There's quit line phone support. There's medications that can help. There's classes. Your physician might have some resources to help you. So all of these are excellent resources to help you reduce your risk of kidney disease. We have a 9-minute video that's going to summarize what I've talked about. And then we have a patient presentation from Rachel. And then we have an opportunity for questions and answers. So I'm going to go ahead and share the video, and I'll be back on for questions.
Hello, I'm Dr. Jewel Stevenson. I'm a family medicine physician, and I'm a member of the Archway, Missouri chapter of the Links Incorporated. As an organization, we are committed to expanding knowledge on kidney health awareness for African Americans. The Black Care, K-A-R-E, project, which stands for Kidney Awareness, Resources, and Education, is a national effort to address risk factors, complications, and treatment to reduce the risk of kidney failure. We are fortunate to have with us today 2 physicians who specialize in kidney care. They are nephrologists. Dr. Stanley Buck and his son, Dr. Jonathan Buck, are not in practice together, but they are both dedicated to the care of individuals with chronic kidney disease. Dr. Stanley W. Buck is a board-certified nephrologist and board-certified internist. Dr. Buck is a graduate of Princeton University and Washington University Medical School. He has maintained a private renal practice for over 30 years. Dr. Jonathan B. Buck is a board-eligible nephrologist and internist. He is a graduate of Duke University and St. Louis University School of Medicine. Dr. Buck earned a master's in public health at Morehouse School of Medicine. In 2021, he completed his nephrology fellowship at St. Louis University. 1 out of every 3 adults in the United States is at risk of life-threatening kidney disease. Most people don't even know they are at risk. So, what is kidney disease? What do the kidneys do?
The kidney is a very complex organ. It's like a filter. It tends to regulate. It regulates several things: the fluid in your body, the amount of sodium in your body. It regulates your chemicals like potassium, calcium, magnesium, phosphorus. So it regulates. It keeps the level of urea fairly low when it's functioning properly. So kidney disease is when the kidney is not regulating properly. and more specifically, when the urea level is rather high as opposed to the normal level.
Black Americans are almost 4 times as likely as white Americans to develop kidney failure. Why is that?
It could be because there's higher incidence possibly of diabetes, hypertension, and those are the two main causes of kidney disease or progressors of kidney disease. There are also a ton of other things that can cause kidney disease, like lupus or other specific conditions.
Caucasians will have hypertension, but they may have better access to health care, more awareness of how to question things and to follow up on things. So I think it tends to be more severe in African Americans.
What are the signs of kidney disease? What should a person look for?
I think the main thing to sort of start off with is basically following up with your primary care doctor, because if you're following up with your primary care doctor and you get labs at least on an annual basis, you can follow your serum creatinine, which is basically a marker for kidney function. You can also follow your GFR, which is your glomerular filtration rate, basically how well your kidneys are filtering the fluid, the blood, basically in your body, and able to regulate the, electrolytes or the sodium and the potassium, but also like acid base and also urea, like my dad mentioned before, in addition to a lot of other things. So the thing is, if you're following with your primary care, they should be able to pick up on that earlier and be able to alert you to the fact that you've had kidney disease and if it's progressing. And then if it progresses to a certain point, you can be referred to a nephrologist or a kidney doctor to basically have more, I guess a better management of that kidney disease or more close monitoring of your kidney disease so that it doesn't progress further towards needing dialysis. But I think the other thing to basically keep track of, for example, from like a symptom standpoint, could be things like if you're getting like lower extremity edema or swelling in your legs, if that makes sense.
If you are diagnosed with kidney disease, what type of care is necessary?
Well, there's different levels of kidney disease. So if you have maybe an early level like stage 1 or stage 2, stage 1 means you have 90% kidney function or better. The care is just follow-up and prevention of worsening. The same with stage 2, you just follow up, find factors that may have caused it and try to regulate those factors, reduce the amount that you smoke, reduce the amount of salt you eat, have your pressure checked very carefully. If you are diabetic, take it very seriously and manage it very closely. Now, if you have the later stages of kidney disease, you start retaining fluid, which is called edema. You start showing signs of congestion in your lungs sometimes. Your blood pressure becomes more difficult to control in the later stages. So it requires more intervention with your physician. And like Dr. Jonathan said, the key is to get follow-up. Check your labs. If you have questions, ask questions. Personally, I think if you're African American, over the age of 50, you have a kidney problem, you should probably refer yourself to a kidney doctor just so you can get more information and ask more questions.
You mentioned different stages of kidney disease. At what stage of kidney disease do we call it kidney failure?
So there's 5 stages of kidney disease, 1 through 5. 5 being like the end stage to a point where you may need dialysis depending on if you've developed symptoms. So typically patients who end up on dialysis are patients who they can't manage their fluids like medically, meaning that if they're taking water pills like Lasix or furosemide, that it's not really helping with their volume status or the fluid that's basically accumulating or building up in their body. Sometimes it might be their potassium levels, that the potassium is not being able to be managed medically, that the medications that we're giving them, whether it's Veltassa or whether it's Kxalate, certain binders that basically bind up that potassium and help get rid of it, basically aren't helping as much as they should. Sometimes it's the person's becoming uremic, so their urea level, like Dr. Stanley Buck was mentioning before, is building up to a point where they're starting to have signs of confusion or itching or things like that.
Can you give us the main takeaway that you'd like to leave the audience with?
Well, it all starts, like Dr. Jonathan said, it starts with hypertension and diabetes, very often both in the same patient. So what causes those things? Usually lifestyle adaptations, inactivity, too much sodium intake, smoking, heavy drinking, and obesity is a big factor in the African American community. Obesity. Check your body mass index and see if it's above 30. If it's above 30, get it below 30. Normal is 25 or less. But obesity is a big problem and it leads to hypertension and diabetes, high cholesterol, heart disease, and kidney failure.
Excellent.
So I always encourage my patients basically to ask questions. And if they don't understand what's going on, to make sure to ask clarifying questions, to be like, hey, what does that mean? I'm not understanding what's going on. Because at the end of the day, it's information that impacts their health. And at the end of the day, it's information that impacts their life. If that makes sense.
Thank you, Dr. Stanley Buck and Dr. Jonathan Buck. We hope that this information has been helpful for those of you watching. Please take a moment to visit the Black Care website. Here, you will learn about chronic kidney disease and how to prevent it or slow the progression if you already have chronic kidney disease. Awareness and knowledge will empower you to take charge of your own care with your healthcare team. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, Heather. I will be moving on to my portion of the presentation, which is about the NKF Patient Network. So yes, my name is Rachel, and I'm the National Kidney Foundation Patient Network Engagement Director. I'm here today to talk about the NKF Patient Network. The NKF Patient Network is the first nationwide kidney disease registry that is open to all patients with kidney disease, including patients that have received dialysis or patients that have received a transplant. So what is the NKF Patient Network? It is unique because it is the first nationwide kidney disease patient registry that focuses on collecting information about a person's journey with kidney disease. A patient registry is a collection of health information from people with a similar condition used in a research study. The NKF Patient Network is a registry for people with kidney disease. This includes all stages and kinds of kidney disease, people on dialysis, and those with kidney transplant. Once patients register, they answer questions that are focused on their own experiences with kidney disease, how kidney disease affects their lifestyle, and how they are managing their kidney disease. Ultimately, all the information that is gathered on the NKF Patient Network from individuals with kidney disease is used in a research study. This research study is using this information to better kidney treatments, kidney care, and healthcare. Ultimately, all the information collected is working towards the goal of treating kidney disease and a cure. The goal is to always improve the lives of all those with kidney disease. So what is the registry benefits? The benefits are specifically for the individual that registers. After answering information about themselves, they can be able to access educational information. There's education about their specific diagnosis through educational articles, videos, and blogs. There's updated tips on healthy living, diet, exercise, and mental health resources. There's also information on how patients can receive additional support specific to their diagnosis, as well as an NKF online support community. These interactive resources are available anytime a patient logs in. Also, if a patient consented to receive updates from the NKF, they'll receive information about kidney disease articles, research, and treatment advancements. And the goal is always for patients to receive information quickly and accurately. All of these supports are free and there's no cost to join the network. All information is accessible 24/7 from any internet device. To be eligible to join, a patient must have kidney disease, including those on dialysis and transplant recipients. Participants must be 18 years of older and English speaking in order to read and understand the consent process. However, we are currently working on a full Spanish translation into 2022. To learn more, you can visit the nkfpatientnetwork.org. This is the main NKF Patient Network page that includes frequently asked questions, videos, and more. And always, if you would like to speak to someone individually, please contact the NKF Cares Helpline at 1-855-653-2273. Also, be able to know that all of our information is on our nkfpatientnetwork.org site, and you can be able to find more information there. Thank you to our sponsors and partners, and thank you for taking the time to learn more about the NKF Patient Network. And now we'll have time to be able to open to questions.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Anyone with questions, please feel free to type them in the chat.
And I've been plopping in some of our different national NKF resources that were discussed, as well as a local upcoming program that we have called our Virtual Renal Patient Symposium, which will be on Sunday, November 13th from 1 to 2 p.m. And that will be through via Zoom, and we'll be offering different tools to prevent and manage chronic conditions, as well as to learn more specifically about lupus nephritis. So that registration link is there. And then I think Heather made a useful comment. But yeah, we had a question about, can addiction to drugs or alcohol affect your kidneys? Anything you want to elaborate upon with that, Heather?
So, drug abuse most commonly affects the liver. An example I like to give is that we can use, the opioid epidemic is huge in our country. And when individuals die from a drug overdose, we're often able to use those organs, if they are organ donors, to put into patients who need kidney transplant or other organ transplant, because there's minimal effect of their drug addiction and drug overdose on the kidneys. So.
Great.
That is fascinating. I had no idea. Wow.
Don't see
We will give it just another minute, just in case anyone has any other questions, to type in the chat. But Megan, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I just wanted to thank you, Erica, so much for your collaboration and communication and planning a wonderful program, and to Heather and Rachel for your presentations today, and to the Links for their support locally and their partnership. And yeah, we're just grateful to share this education with the community to increase kidney knowledge for sure.
It's my honor. Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Megan. Thank you so much. I would love to do this again. So we'll have to plan for 2023 for sure.
We would love that. Thank you.
That would be great. And I'm super excited. I was introduced to two new organizations tonight. I don't know if everybody else knew about them already, but yeah, the Black Care, K-A-R-E, and the Links Incorporated.
Mm-hmm. Yes. They are wonderful.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you, participants, for coming tonight. We do appreciate it so much. The program was recorded, so as soon as we sign off and we get the link all set up, I will send it out to everybody along with the NKF survey and the other links provided. My pleasure. So thank you all. Everybody have a good night. Stay dry. Take care, and take care of your kidneys.
Great way to close it. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.